I still to this day don't think she ever even recognized me. Something was wrong there. I don't know what, but something was off.
Carly Gregg's stepfather, Heath Smylie, testifying at her murder trial. She also shot him. He survived. And his testimony, incredibly sympathetic to his stepdaughter. Amazingly so. Heath Smylie, Carly Gregg, Ashley Smylie, they all lived together. They were a family, but she's dead because Carly shot and killed her mother, shot her stepfather. He survived, and he is standing 100% behind her. I want to go back and remind you of the compelling arguments and the dramatic verdict in this case. And a lot of it had to do with the age of this defendant, who was just 14 at the time she shot and killed her mother.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's no doubt that Carly Madison Gregg is the one who killed her mom, Ashley Smylie. There's no doubt that she attempted to kill Heath Smylie when she aimed the gun right at his head and shot and hit him in the shoulder. And there's no doubt that she's the one who hid the camera, thus tampering with evidence in the refrigerator. And we would ask you that you go back there and you find her guilty of all three, because she was not insane at the time that this happened. She knew exactly what she was doing, and she knew the difference between right and wrong.
We've heard the testimony of Carly's stepfather, who has no reason to defend this child. It's not his biological child. He was very much in love with his wife. They were still in the honeymoon phase. You heard him on that 911 call. That was a man in shock, in grief, and in pain. You heard his testimony about feeling intimidated regarding his testimony in this case. But despite all of that, he has continued to tell the truth consistently from March 19th until his testimony in this courtroom today, and he continues to stand by Carly to this day and support her. And he said, yeah, I've noticed that Carly was experiencing memory lapses in the fall of 2023. It was bizarre. And while she was having a state of psychosis and an episode of acute stress on March 19th, she lost herself in what was the perfect storm. I am asking you, for those reasons, to please find Carly Gregg not guilty by reason of insanity and finally quell this storm for Carly and her family.
When he arrived home, opens the door, and gets shot at. He took the stand. He tells you to this day, that wasn't Carly. The person that was shooting at him was not Carly. It's real important. He's the last person that's seeing her right there as it's happening. This is the person who knows. This is the person that sees her every day, that knows Carly. And yet, he's saying she's shooting at him. If there's anybody that has a reason to, disavow Carly and say, hey, look, she shot me. I don't want to have anything to do. She killed my wife. He's sitting there saying, and he was doing it to his own detriment, and he's saying, that's not her. Something's wrong. That was not her.
The only thing that the defense wants you to do is to have sympathy for the defendant, to believe this story that she's made up after she's been arrested.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Carly Madison Gregg, guilty of first-degree murder, guilty of attempted murder, guilty of tampering with evidence. Your sentences will be as follows. As to count one, the jury, having fixed the verdict at life imprisonment, this court will sentence you to life imprisonment. As to count two, you'll be sentenced to life imprisonment. As to count 3, you'll be sentenced to 10 years to serve.
Now, we saw a lot from Carly Gregg's stepfather, but Carly Gregg's biological father, Kevin Gregg, spoke with WLBT-TV in Jackson, Mississippi, and discussed Carly, her childhood, and her trial.
I love Carly, and I would love to have tried to help her the best I could. I kept screaming in my head, you know, why couldn't you just have called me? You know, we had really enjoyed ourselves, and she was a wonderful child, and she was obviously multi-talented, gifted. You know, we loved each other. We loved that girl. That girl knew right from wrong. That girl is not insane. That was a very dumb defense, if you ask me. But I wasn't involved. Nobody ever called me.
All right, so you heard Kevin Gregg say, nobody ever called me. Nobody ever called me in this case. Well, the big news now is that the defense has filed a motion for a new trial. Let me put it up on the screen because it's really interesting. In an unaired portion of his interview, okay, not what was shown on TV, but the unaired portion of the interview, Kevin Gregg disclosed that Carly was placed in equestrian therapy as a young child due to experiencing auditory hallucinations. Auditory hallucinations. They say, the defense says Kevin Gregg refused to cooperate in Carly's defense, refused to talk to the state, refused to talk to the mental health professionals evaluating Carly, and refused to come to any pretrial hearings or a single day of Carly's criminal trial. So they're saying this is new evidence. Auditory hallucinations. Meanwhile, Kevin Gregg is saying, no one tried to contact me. Let's bring back in the think tank Al Wunsch, Darnell Crossland, Jennifer Brandt. All right, Darnell, what do you think of this development? They're saying, listen, the father has this new information we didn't know about. He wouldn't cooperate. Now he's saying that she suffered from auditory hallucinations as a child. As a younger child, as a much younger child.
I mean, but she's not that old now, 14,
right.
So it's not that far away. I mean, it's a small life. And whenever you have new information that could tend to make the outcome different, the court has an opportunity, an obligation to look into it. And when you have something that shows that she had some mental issues or hallucination, and it matches what the stepfather was saying, I think that's good grounds for the court to look into it and see if, in fact, they can offer a new trial.
Jennifer Brandt, your thoughts about this and the fact that Kevin Gregg is saying this now, yet he's saying no one called him, but the defense is saying he wouldn't cooperate.
Yeah, Vinny, it's crazy. I mean, reading that and hearing that he wouldn't even come to a day of trial, wouldn't support his daughter. I mean, you hear him now talking about her, what a great kid she is and that kind of thing, but where was he all this time, and why didn't he step in? He is her biological father. I mean, what could have gone wrong between the two of them? She's a young child. She still is a young child. So what could be so wrong in this relationship? And that's a question in itself, you know? She obviously had some problems early on. Did he just abandon her? Did he leave her? What was her mental state and her mental health? And should that have been brought into the trial? I think that is all very relevant. And I think it's upsetting to hear that he wasn't, if it's true, that he wasn't even involved.
Al, I think there's a lot of cases where sometimes people don't want to testify, and our system of justice has some mechanism to bring people to court who don't necessarily want to be in court. What is it called again? What do they call that?
My Uncle Nuncio.
Yeah,
he's the one that can get anyone to court anytime. I just go, Nuns, go over there, take care of him, and they show up. It works every time.
Isn't there a piece of paper? A subpoena. So why wouldn't the defense just subpoena him? He's not cooperating. Oh, he won't come in and talk to us. Subpoena him, make him testify.
Because I think they were afraid that he was going to say partially what he said, which is that she knows the difference between right and wrong. And then the situation with regards to the equine-assisted therapy that he's bringing up, which seems to be for the first time. It seems odd to me that they did not find out about that, but equine-assisted therapy does not necessarily deal with schizophrenia. So maybe they were a little bit concerned that it was, you know, not necessarily a thing that was used for people who are schizophrenic. I mean, it's used for depression. It's used for overweight. There's a ton of stuff that they use it for. Schizophrenia is not necessarily one of them. But now you've got, throw out everything. Go forward on it. I just think that if I was the prosecutor, I'd say exactly what you just said. Why couldn't you get him here? Why? It's not like you didn't know about him. It's not like there was.
All right, Al, before we run out of time,
showed up.
He's chomping at the bit. Go ahead, Darnell. I see you chomping.
Yeah, no, not really. I was just really thinking, when it comes to these cases, the defense attorneys always want to know who's on their side. And it seemed like there was so many unanswered questions about this father. And as Jennifer alluded to, I mean, what type of guy is he? He seemed like a wild card. He's not there to support them. And like Al said, he's saying that she's not crazy. So we simply tend to leave those people outside of the courtroom if we don't know where they're going to go. And I think that's what happened.
Yeah.
Okay, and save them for the motion for a new trial. There you go. All right, think tank staying with us. When we come back, that's not the only reason the defense says they deserve a new trial. We'll break it all down next.